Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. I have had an incredible amount of technical problems with this video. Um, Between the new setup with my new camera, not that it's a new camera, but I'm using a different camera now. Okay, the Mary Sue today upset a lot of people about JEM. They put out an article today, and there's been a lot of talk, some articles, and some videos. I watched videos from Clownfish TV with Geeky Sparkles and Mecha Random who are not happy. So there's a lot of prominent female YouTubers who are not happy about this. Now, just to establish my JEM cred and do a little semi-review, because I was going to do this back in the day but didn't. I saw the show when I was a kid. I think my TV station back in Tasmania was a bit cheap, and sometimes they bought stuff like not when it was released right away. It was like in syndication and that, so it wasn't like, you know, it was like years later I think we got some stuff. So I saw JEM when I was a little kid, and I loved it. I loved Synergy, and I never saw... I know a friend had the dolls. My sisters didn't have any of the dolls, but I know a friend had some of the dolls. But I never had any of them. I think Barbie and the Rockers was more my sister's thing, but she didn't even do that. And for years, I kind of wanted to see the show. I wanted to sort of... because it wasn't available. It just was like this thing I remembered. And I'm like, what was that? What was that show, JEM? What happened to that? Well, eventually, a company called MRA started doing DVDs in Australia. They did 4 volumes, and they had about 4 episodes on each one, and a little bit of artwork, which wasn't the best, but it was like all that we had at the moment. Now I watched the first one just because I was like finally like got to see the show, but I didn't watch the others because I wanted to get the full season box sets, and there's a little bit of artwork on the back to advertise the other volumes, but that's all we got. And then I eventually found the box sets. Now, they were really hard to get because they were expensive, but I got the season box sets from America, and we had some inside artwork as well, all the episodes, but there's Synergy, my favourite. Each season was a different colour, pink. Season 3 was green, which I don't really think worked, but whatever. Should have been green, like Pizzazz green hair. But then I found out the problem with those ones, although the quality of the episodes was good, all the episodes were there, nothing was missing, they didn't have the special features. There was a box set that did, but it was really old and incredibly expensive, and its individual seasons didn't have the special features, and there was a special features disc as well, which had extra special features. But I eventually found there was a newer box set that had that, so I had to get the full season, complete season box set as well. Which has my favourite Sinji art on the inside as well. And that had all the episodes and the extra disc and all the special features, so that was good. I eventually got that. And like I said, I didn't have any of the dolls. I didn't really even see any of them when I was a kid. I haven't got any as a collector later. I went to a doll show once, and there was a girl there. They called her the JEM girl. She had pink hair, she was dressed like JEM, and she had all the dolls, a huge display. It was great. Got lots of photos, hung out with her for ages. She was cool. And that was it. But then I eventually got these, which is the JEM earrings, because she had the star earrings which lit up, and these are pretty cool. They actually light up. Unfortunately, what I didn't realise was they're real earrings, and you have to have your earpiece to wear them. I assumed when I bought them they were just like costume jewellery with like clip-ons, like for kids or gay men who don't have their ears pierced. So I don't know if I ever get to wear them and like go to a convention with my JEM action going. But I am a JEM fan, so I'm not just talking about a Mary Sue article to try and get clicks or something like anyone cares. But so JEM the show. JEM the show was interesting. It was a bit of an aberration in the 80s. There were some girl shows, but there weren't a lot of action shows for girls. Now this show, it was based on a character called Jerrica Benton. Her father died, and he owned a recording studio called Starlight Records, and she got control of that, and she discovered he was using this amazing holographic robot AI Synergy that would create all his acts for him, basically. So that's how he's able to have all these hit records and all that, because he was basically creating everything. So she then gets a band together, and they use the holograms to literally create their image and their look and their videos and everything. And that's basically how they do it. She's got like a dual identity, and there's this other band who's always their rival, and they're always trying to get her, and it's pretty nasty. Like, it's not just silly little girl stuff. There's like attempted murder, assassinations. It's like a spy series almost, and quite a lot of action for a girls' animated series. I really liked it, and I still like it now. I've watched a few episodes. I haven't done the season box set marathons yet. I'm saving them up. But two things happened after that, though. One, unfortunately, the JEM movie. Now, I was excited when I heard about this, because I thought, oh, this will be good. And I was waiting for it to come in the cinema, and it never did. And I'm like, what happened to that movie? What happened? It did so bad, they had to pull it out of the theatres, and it didn't get its international distribution. I don't think it even showed in Australia. So I got it on DVD just by chance. And now, if it weren't a JEM movie, if it was just a movie about some YouTubing girls, a girl band, it would have been fine. Basically, that's all that happens. The girl goes on YouTube, she becomes a hit, and then, of course, she has the whole, oh, how do I keep true to my roots and be loyal to my family? And there's her dealing with her father's death and all that. And as a film, the characters are okay. As a film on its own, it's fine. But as a JEM movie, total fail. They stripped everything from it that made it JEM. There's no synergy. Synergy is basically a weird tiny little computer projector that just projects old videos that her dad recorded for her, which are very sentimental and everything, but it's just nothing like the original. And there's really no danger, there's no thrill, there's nothing interesting about it if you're comparing it to the old series. So it was a huge fail. The only thing JEM about it was the look, the outfit, the pink hair, stuff like that. And the best part of the film was the post-trailer bit where they reveal the Misfits, Pizzazz, and it's Kesha with like green hair. That would have been good. If the whole movie had been that, they might have been able to pull it off and just done this fight between the bands. And maybe even if they'd left out the synergy part and the hologram part, they might have been able to get away with it. But they didn't even try to do that. It was just YouTube band drama, girl band drama. It was just really sexist in a way because they stripped everything about that made her independent and strong. She ran her own corporation. All this, this is a total fail. So that's what we were looking at. That's where we're at with JEM. Now, the only other thing that happened was in 2015, Kelly Thompson, with art by Sophie Campbell, which was really good, did a series. Now, the series started off, and I'm getting my facts from Clownfish. Basically, I think the comic started off with about 35,000 copies sold. It was about 77 on the charts. It got down to about 200 and something. It only got about 5,000 sales at the end of its run, and it lasted about 24 issues, so that's enough for like 4 trades or whatever. So it did okay, but and they gated up, of course. They made who were the characters that were there were 2 characters people queer theory read as gay, Kimber and Storm. They actually made them gay and had them had a relationship, which is fine, I don't care. They think it's very progressive, but the sad fact of the matter is lesbians in their achievements are a bit undermined because, frankly, left-wing religious nuts and men fetishize them and get off on them. You put 2 lesbians kissing, no one is bothered. You have 2 gay guys kissing or a trans person existing, people get bothered. You want to do something for diversity and for representation and be woke, have some trans characters or some actual gay men. Girly girls, lesbians, it just is the easy woke point. Not to undermine the challenges lesbians go through in the real world, but in the media and representation, it's not the same. So they did that. So they did something. But basically this lady, what was her name? I've lost her name. I wrote it down. Sophie Campbell. She did an article on the Mary Sue. We haven't heard from the Mary Sue for a while because there was a lot of talk with them. They came up a lot with Shearer, and Shearer sort of has ended now. And she basically said, okay, now Shearer's gone, we need to do JEM. And immediately people started freaking out. You cannot do JEM, do not touch JEM, leave JEM alone, she's precious, we love her, leave her alone. And it just made me think of the leave Britney alone guy. I always want to do like that to start the video, but I'm like, no. No one's watching anyway, it's not worth the performance. But yeah, there are so many things that can go wrong, and that's the concern. I think a lot of JEM fans would like to see a new series. They were disappointed by the movie and they wish they'd done a different, better version. But this is the problem. They keep doing this. It's become a syndrome now. First time it happened, it could be forgiven. But now you have these people who are not creative enough to create their own series, movie, comics, their own product. And they can't get backing. No one will support them. So what they do is they go and latch onto an established IP, an older show from usually the 80s, because the 80s was like the most creative, like greatest era, I think, so far as like sci-fi and kids shows and stuff like that. It really was the best. There was so much creativity back then. And no fear. They were just bold. They just did the most outrageous stuff and it was all great. And then there was, I don't know, the 90s, they just didn't want to try anything. And it was just, yeah. But they keep taking these established franchises with the fan bases and the brand recognition and all this stuff, and they try and launch their new shows. And the problem is, because they're working on nostalgia, nostalgia, of course, is what you remember and something that reminds you of what you had, what you cared about, what you enjoyed as a child or whatever. And what they do is they totally disrespect it. They totally tear it apart. They strip everything from it that made it unique and made it what you loved. And then it doesn't do well. And then usually the tactic now is they turn around and say, oh, you're racist or sexist or homophobic because we've got representation in this show more so than the original. So that must be what you're responding to. Not that you've ruined the show, ruined the characters, changed the format, changed the story, everything. No, it's not real criticism. You're just homophobic. And now, being a gay man, they can't say that to me. And saying you're misogynistic doesn't really work with people like Geeky Sparkles and Mecha Random. And like Andre, the black nerd, they can't really call him racist if he's criticising these shows. I'm not sure he's gotten on the bandwagon with some of them, but maybe it's the only guy I can think of. But this is the problem. They just have this general approach, a shield that they use to get around criticism, because they're basically exploiting the nostalgia fan bases and the IPs that already exist from the 80s and that, which already have established followings, and they're trying to use that, and then they alienate that and turn off the very people that they had. They don't bring in new audiences because the shows aren't interesting enough on their own to get new audiences and people who weren't already established with the originals, and they just fail. And it's happened with Star Trek Discovery, it's happened with She-Ra, it's happened with Ghostbusters. And that's where it started. Ghostbusters 2016 was the first time it happened, and the media attacked the fans, and they got away with it because they made it look like it was all the fans were a problem. It was just a few very... because Leslie Nielsen did get some real racist shit. I saw some of that did happen. But they were just the minority, and those were the people they highlighted, and they deleted all the real comments and the real criticisms and ignored them and just focused on the couple of racist, Trump-loving twats, and tried to make it look like everyone was having that reaction. And that's the standard approach. It happened with Doctor Who. The criticism was not so much of a female doctor, it was the fact that they changed the format of the show, they changed the storytelling, they changed the subject, and kind of the character, they changed her from... her personality changed when she became a woman. And it's like, well, why is she suddenly acting like a girly girl and she can't fight and she can't take care of herself and she's like a mom? It's just like they changed... Just so many things were wrong, and people were criticising that, and they were attacked by, oh, you're sexist, you just don't want a woman. Like, no one really cared if it was a woman, as long as she acted like Doctor Who, and the stories were still Doctor Who stories. And from what I'm hearing, they're not. Now, I have to review the series properly myself, because I'm not 100% sure what criticisms are accurate, but it's not as simple as, oh, she's a woman, we hate women. That was what it was put down to that was what was put on the fans. So what we're afraid of is the same thing's going to happen with JEM, that they're just going to trash it, they're going to just make a complete joke out of it, and people are going to just abandon it, and it's going to fail. Because She-Ra, the problem with She-Ra, real quickly, I've already done a video on this, is it's too kiddie. Now, it's not as bad as people say. I watched it, it was okay, it was kind of fun, I did enjoy it, but I don't really feel compelled to watch it as an adult, and I can't imagine any kids who watched it wanting to watch it as an adult. The original cartoons, they were adult enough that the parents could enjoy them and you could watch them again as an adult. The new She-Ra didn't have that. And there's a few other little things, but I wasn't that bothered. But some of the other issues, like Star Trek, they screwed that up as well. And this is what people are afraid of. They see these examples. Like Star Trek was a utopian future, and what they did was they said, oh, people don't have enough imagination or sophistication to understand this is a utopian future with an evolved humanity that we can look up to and aspire to and see as heroes. We have to drag them back down to our current day politics and problems and make it relatable, because people are too stupid or too unimaginative to enjoy the show. We have to drag it down to something common and basic, like every other generic science fiction show. And that's what they did, and that's why Star Trek fans hate it. That's why it hasn't done as well, and why people will not be watching that show in 50 years like they are with the original show. It's still, I see it on TV today, on actual TV, as well as all like Netflix and everything. And we're going to have the same problem with JEM, we have the same problem with She-Ra, and pretty much all the 80s and 90s franchises that are being rebooted, they're making the same mistake over and over again. And I've been talking for 15 minutes, Jesus. I can't see the time on this camera, so I just talk and I don't realise how long I've been going. So I'm going to stop, because I covered everything, but I took a lot longer than I thought I was going to. But I'm not doing this video again, because I've done it like 4 times. I kept having technical problems, and my camera fell over. My God, everything just went wrong. But feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about JEM and what they're doing with the series, and just reboots in general. If you've got an opinion, let me know. I love comments, they're fun, but I don't have a lot of viewers, so I don't get a lot. But I'm going to go, and hopefully if they redo it, they keep it in the 80s, they treat it with respect, they stick to the actual format, because that's one last thing I want to add. Unsolved Mysteries, they did the same thing with Unsolved Mysteries. They took away the host, they took away the reenactments, they just basically have insert shots and just a little bit of footage just to fill the episode, so it's not just talking heads. And the only thing about it is the theme song and the soundtrack, theme music and the soundtrack is the only thing that makes it Unsolved Mysteries. They just took the brand, took the label, stuck it on a generic documentary crime series. And this is what's wrong with reboots and what's wrong with current day creatives. So hopefully She-Ra's already happened to She-Ra. Hopefully JEM won't be the victim of this, but that's why everyone's upset. They don't want to see it happen again. So either stop it or listen to the fans.